Here.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. Hope everyone's having a good day. Woke up this morning, it was a little bit chilly, down in the 50s, but had a good walk with my dog Skippy. Yep, like Skippy peanut butter. And we walked and we had a good time and we did everything the dog needs to do. And now I'm here in the office. And what are we going to talk about? Well, there's something that you're probably going to say, I don't want to talk about that. Well, we have to talk about it because it affects both you and I. Listen, I was listening to the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. He was walking through the halls of Congress, and one of the reporters asked him about the budget and the debt ceiling. And he literally said they have nothing to do with each other. And I was shocked. Because in the past few weeks, he has been saying that they both go together. And now he says, no, they're not. Now, we're getting very close to the time where this budget, where this debt ceiling needs to be addressed. And no one in the Congress that I see, no one in the president's office that I see, are sitting down together and talking about the budget of the United States and the debt ceiling. Neither one of them. I know that Kevin McCarthy sent a letter over to the president saying they need to sit down. And the president wrote a letter back saying, well, show me a budget. Well, I put that back on Speaker McCarthy's desk too. And I've done it on Twitter all morning long that he needs to sit down, have a budget on the table so that there's something to discuss. But it's still not on anybody's table. I haven't seen any budget. So I'm pressuring the Speaker of the House today, hey, you got to get me a budget. I'm an American citizen and I want to see the proposed budget from the GOP so that I can make comments as a citizen of this great country of ours. Now, if you don't know, right now our national debt is getting way out of control. Now, the debt ceiling, if you remember right, back in December of 2021, Congress and the president, they all sat down and they raised the debt ceiling, or the debt limit, I should say, by $2.5 trillion to a total of $31.4 trillion. Now, of January 19th of 2023, that limit was reached, and the Treasury announced a debt issuance suspension period, during which, under current law, it can take well-established extraordinary measures, is what they call it, to borrow additional funds without breaching the debt ceiling. So here we have our debt, the debt that we all owe, is $31.4 trillion. Now, they already raised it from one year to the next, $2.5 trillion. Now they want to raise it more. Now, remember, the debt ceiling is based upon what the government or what the Congress has already voted on to spend. This is what the Congress has voted on that has increased the debt of the United States. So it's really, and listen, I'm pointing fingers at both parties because they're both guilty of it, of raising the debt. Now, yes, some of it had to be raised because of COVID, which we now find out probably should never have been done. But we are at this point where our debt is out of control. Our spending is out of control. And that really bothers me. So Biden proposed a budget, right? His total budget for 1 year, the total is $5.8 trillion for fiscal year 2023, including $1.6 trillion in discretionary spending. I hate the word discretionary because it gets wasted. Tax dollars get wasted in that discretionary spending. And so his budget also projects at 1.2 trillion deficit in fiscal 2023. It's not. It's gone up. So what he's telling you right there in his budget, it's a lie. It's a complete falsehood. And that's why the president's budget is totally worthless. Because he didn't care what he was going to present. Now the GOP, they have not put anything on the table. And I have been pounding them and pounding them and pounding them on a daily basis. Put something on the table so that we can start negotiating it. But nothing is on the table yet. And that's why we're in trouble. Because we have politicians who are playing politics but are not being fiscally sound in their judgment in working on this deal, on a budget deal, and on a debt reduction deal. We have got to reduce this debt, and they refuse to do it. And one of the best ways to reduce that debt, because we know it's based upon spending that the Congress has already proposed in these two massive spending bills that Biden and the U.S. Congress has voted on and agreed to and signed into law, we know that that's what's going to be spent. Well, now we have to sit down and say, okay, listen, we cannot afford that as a nation. We have got to do something. I mean, this is the ethical thing to do, because they're reporting and they're representing the money that we have worked so damn hard for and paid through our taxes, and now we're in a situation where we have too much debt. Now, there's economists out there saying that, no, debt's good, debt's good. When do we ever start listening to economists on debt? My gosh, we should be listening to accountants, not economists. Gosh, I have sat down with so many budget committees in the corporate world, and we have literally drilled the numbers. Drilled means drilling down into the deep nonsense of the numbers to see exactly what we could cut or what we needed to increase in order to survive as a business. But the government sees us as an open checkbook. So you and I, all of our checkbooks are open. Or debit cards. I guess we're going debit cards now. So all of our debit cards are open, and we keep sliding it through for more money to send to the government, more money to send to the government. I don't know if you've ever sat down and looked at the breakdown of how tax revenue is generated and where it all comes from. I'm going to tell you right now, because I know that you're dying to understand this, right? You got your cup of coffee, right? And you're ready to say, hey, Mike, why don't you tell us about where all this tax money goes to and where it comes from? Great, I'm glad you asked. 23.8% comes from social insurance tax, or Social Security. 16.6% comes from consumption tax. 11.4% comes from property taxes. 6% comes from corporate taxes. 0.1% comes from other. 42.1% comes from individual taxes. Now, I want to go back to the corporate number of 6%. You have got to realize that that's a corporate tax rate, okay? What they're paid into the federal and the state governments. But they don't mention there that those companies are also paying for Social Security. They're paying for unemployment. They're paying for property taxes. They're paying for wage tax. They're paying for consumption tax. They're paying for a whole bunch of taxes besides that 6%. So don't think that 6% is a low number, because by creating their businesses, they are paying a whole bunch of business taxes. More than we are. But if you look at the amount of money that goes into the government, 42.1%, the biggest number of them all, are paid by you and me. So Congress says, okay, we need more so let's raise the taxes. So what did they do in this last tax, well, not last tax, but this last spending bill that was supposed to be about inflation and how it was supposed to be reduced? That's why they call it the Inflation Reduction Act. But then we found out that it was a lie. It was all about the Green New Deal. It was all about environmental issues. It had nothing to do with cutting the inflation at all. In fact, what it did is it increased inflation because as of January 1st, 2023, fuel taxes went up. Natural gas taxes went up. Coal taxes went up. Everything that produces electricity for you and I, everything went up. And you probably saw that it went up in your spending budgets as you pay for your utility bills. Didn't tell us about that, right? No, he went out. This Inflation Reduction Act is going to help the Americans. No, it didn't. Didn't help us at all. Zero. We were lied to again. So our 42.1% that you and I pay in our individual tax returns and taxes that comes from us individuals, Americans, is completely wasted because no one wants to sit down and talk about the budget and cutting spending. You and I both know that when we are running our corporate lives here in our houses, because it seems like it's a corporate life, right? Because you're having to worry about revenue coming in and you have to worry about the expenses going out, and we're just not making it because inflation went up. So we are in trouble. In fact, we have created our own debt because now we have had to use credit cards in order to survive. We have had to take money out of our 401k and retirement plans in order to survive. But the government doesn't care. So they sit on their hands and knees and they say, okay, well, we'll just print more money. We will create more debt and more inflation for the American people because we want to spend money. They have no idea how they are destroying this nation. They don't care. They will make promises to you to your face and say, oh, I will fight for the American people. I will fight for my constituents. But then they go and they raise taxes. Both Democrats and Republicans, they both did it. And then we have to live with it. So I'm asking for the President of the United States. I'm asking for the Speaker of the House. I'm asking for the Treasury Secretary. Sit down and begin negotiating. Republicans, get your stupid budget on the table so that we can start negotiating. We're not going to wait around any longer. The American people were promised that you would deal with this inflationary issue, that you would deal with the high spending costs of the United States government, that you would lower our taxes, that you would work for the American people, and so far we haven't seen it. Yeah, you've passed a whole bunch of bills, but none of those are going to be signed by the president, I am sorry to say. So sit down, get your budget in order, get it on the table today so that the American people can comment, and also that you can start negotiating with the President and the Secretary of the Treasury. Come on. Let's do your job. That's all we're asking for. Do your job. Listen, if you want to send me an email, and if you have a business question, send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would like to sit down with me and talk about business issues that you may have, you may go to my website and schedule an online appointment at www.lodge-co.com. Love you guys. Let's go out there. Let's pound on members of Congress and say, get to work and get us a budget. We're not going to pay these high taxes any longer. Bye-bye, guys.